I heard somewhere that invisibility was the number one most desired superhero power. For some reason, the ability to move around undetected was thought to be incredibly powerful. I'm not exactly sure why. To me, being invisible puts one at a distinct disadvantage, except in rare moments. For instance, when my people were fleeing for their lives during the long walk back from Oklahoma, they encountered a group of soldiers and local militia folks in proximity to a railroad track. I was told by my elders, like Ruby Suktis and others, that a medicine woman with my people told them to put their blankets over their heads and keep walking. They did so and crossed the railroad tracks and safely eluded the group while in plain sight. When asked later about the incident, the soldiers said that all they saw was a herd of buffalo crossing the tracks. Were it not for that woman's power, possibly I and many of my people wouldn't be here today. I call that a superpower. But she didn't really make them invisible, she just changed their appearance. Invisible things do have power. That's just a topic for those more knowledgeable in my community to discuss. For me, being invisible in this country, as many Native communities are, has not been a good thing. But no matter what, we're still here. The anthropologists all predicted we wouldn't make it. We'd vanish because we were too primitive and unable to adapt to the forced changes that were upon us. They put out a nationwide call, a paid bounty for our bodies to study them and prove how primitive we were. The Washington Redskins name was a byproduct of that horrendous effort, as are the countless collections of photographs of my people, family photo albums I would have to pay millions to possess, that are part of a photo stock exchange where their monetary value never goes down. Vanishing people is complicated. If at first you don't succeed, try again. People like Custer, who used women and children from my community as human shields at the massacre he instigated at the Washita River, tried to vanish us. Andrew Jackson, President, Miles, Sheridan, Benteen, Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, the list is endless. The man who wrote The Wizard of Oz actively supported the eradication of Native peoples. The desire to vanish Indians ran and runs deep in this country for some. If smallpox blankets won't work, then block both doors to their walled city and burn them out. Or attack a sleeping village that was flying a flag of truce along the Washita River, and then use women and children from the same community as human shields to escape. It's grisly business by cowardly people. Sadly, many Native communities were eradicated in this country. Native peoples who I'm sure my people knew and interacted with, many of whom were on the East Coast and in the Midwest and California and everywhere. Don't forget to mention them in your land acknowledgements. And don't forget to mention those of us who are still here, who survived the attempts to vanish us. Genocide, boarding schools, the Indian Relocation Act, forced sterilization of Native women by the IHS, voter suppression, and missing and murdered Native peoples, to name but a few. When you won't vanish, they try to make you invisible. That's where we're at today. You can count the number of natives on TV and in the news on one finger some days, and no hands most days. I can't and won't speak for the African American community, except to say our fates have always been intertwined. To paraphrase the writer Ellen French in her brilliant and unpublished manuscript, Edible Indigeneity, Indian blood was measured with the government-conceived blood quantum system to determine who could sign away the land, and the one-drop system for African Americans was created to determine who would be enslaved to work the land. We have resisted these efforts and helped each other's struggles and continue to do so to this day. Both our voices, raised and loud, are the surest antidote to systemic vanishing and invisibility. So listen, art patrons, and you will hear some of the unvanished history of this country.